Welcome in, welcome back. Welcome to Stream-of-Unconsciousness, where the subject's made up and the words don't matter. Thanks to all my subscribers over the past few months. Really appreciate that, taking the time to take a look. Feel free to like, comment, let me know what you think is going on, what you enjoy, what you didn't enjoy. And here we will move right into our discussion for today. Today I'm going to talk about the several various sizes of Indiana Jones. I have sort of an Indiana Jones thing. I watched the movie at a fairly young age, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and loved it. Loved it. Been collecting for a few years, but not heavily is the thing. So while I've always been into Indiana Jones, I don't have a huge collection. Started off way back in the day with the Raiders of the Lost Ark with the 12-inch Indiana Jones that they released. It was basically almost a Ken doll with a leather jacket and hat, a very almost shapeless felt hat. It was a little bit ridiculous. I don't have that one still. That one's lost to the ravages of time. But a few years, well, I say a few years, 20 years probably, or maybe a little less ago, Sideshow came out with a new version of the Indiana Jones in 1/6 scale. And picked that up back then. Had that one ever since. It's actually a really good figure, which you can't see because I have gotten it too close to the camera. But yeah, the portrait is there. I've seen a really good repaint of this. There, it looks just spot on for Harrison Ford. The body's a little bit floppy. I think I replaced the body on this. Might have to go back to the old Sideshow body just to get some stiffness in the joints. But yeah, the portrait is there. This particular version came with a couple of different heads. As the head with the hat, and as a completely bare head with just the hair and an extra hat in the box. But yeah, the portrait is there. The jacket is not actually leather. It's got a nice lining, but it's more of a leatherette kind of thing. It's almost feels like windbreaker material. And here you see the it's one of the dangers of archaeology, although not to life and limb, although that can sometimes happen. As you can see, it's gotten older. It started to wear a little bit in weird places. The glue on some of the straps, that's why he doesn't have his whip currently on his belt. The glue that holds the magnets in place that would hold the whip up to his belt. That glue is gone by the wayside. Same with his shoulder bag. The glue that holds that holds the magnets in place so you can open and close the bag has given up the ghost. There we go. Probably needs to be glued. I don't know why those are loose, but I'll have to redo those buckles. But it came with a couple of different hand options. The gloved ones seem to be very popular with a lot of different people. This one was the nicely sculpted shoes. Again, he's only been standing on a shelf, so the amount of dirt on him looks like I took him out in the backyard and played with him for a while, which is ridiculous, but maybe not that ridiculous, but I didn't do that. So yeah, very nice figure. This one obviously needs a little TLC just because time has done its thing. But moving on from there, I've gone sort of smaller, and I did a previous review on these. This one is the Fig Arts Indiana Jones. This is about 6 inches tall. Again, this is, in this scale, this is my favorite. I really like the way this figure looks. If I had an issue with this figure, other than it's a little bit pricey, it would be the fact that this particular shoulder doesn't you can't put that arm all the way down without exposing the shoulder joint, and this elbow does not bend very far this way. That's about as far as you get out of it. Other than that, again, this is my favorite in this scale. Love it, love it, love it. It is very great. But we did a review on that earlier. Here is the Hasbro version, which, again, in hand, it looks so much better than the pictures that you saw online, which I always thought strange that even the pictures that Hasbro themselves put out were not that great. You see one of the main issues people have reported with this one is that belt clip for the whip it just won't stay in that tiny hole. But I think, again, after looking at this, and we have reviewed this previously, that honestly, a good repaint on the face and maybe on the hat, possibly darkening the jacket, would really do wonders on this figure. He does have a holster capable of holding his pistol, which the Figuarts figure does not, but it's also a pain in the ass to get that clasp done, so I'm not taking it out of there. But displayed with the whip again, because the belt clip just won't hold it. Then in the early mid 2000s, they came out with this reissued, well, not reissued, but they came out with a series of Indiana Jones figures. That was around the time when Crystal Skull came out. A few different ones. This is one of the Raiders Indies. The holster is oversized, basically because it's a usable holster. It's got the pistol in it, but it's also kind of a pain in the ass to close. It's a decent portrait. You can't tell because the paint is so bad. But it's after doing some comparison work, and I'll show in a bit. The portrait's actually not that bad. Again, a repaint would help here. One of the things that aggravated me about this release of figures, all of them, is that the hat is wrong. The fedora has a drop top instead of a crease, which is incorrect. And you would think the company that actually owns the rights to the films and is making new films would understand it. That's not how that works. Hat is not removable. It's part of the head, which was not the same as on the actual Crystal Skull figure. There we go. Crystal Skull figure. The hat looks oversized because it is a removable soft hat, softish hat. This figure actually came with a couple of different hand options. One of which obviously being holding the Crystal Skull. All right, we're going to put the whip aside for 1 second. Holding the Crystal Skull itself. And it's actually a really good, well, let's put that on backwards then. It's actually a pretty good likeness of older Ford. I like the fullness of the face better because it shows off the portrait better. I think that's part of one of the problems with the earlier one is it's cut a little bit for mobility, especially in the back. But season portrait, I do like the body. The holster's not usable, but I believe the body is better designed than the Raiders one. And I've actually used a couple of these for custom ones. The first one I did, as that falls over, the first one I did was I bought this head off of Etsy. And this is actually not the head itself. I actually recast that in different colored plastic. The interesting thing is I cast this in a sort of a yellowish brown plastic, the hat, and it has yellowed, gotten more and more yellow. I don't know why the plastic got more and more yellow as it cured, but it did. Again, using the Crystal Skull body, and I just had added the golden idol as just for something fun for him to hold. Oh, there we go. That actually came with the Raiders Indies. Yeah, I was very pleased with that portrait. The hat was wrong. I had to do some grinding down of my own when I recast it, because I recast it in colored plastic because I just didn't feel like doing that much paint work. But I was very happy with that right up until I saw this head sculpt, also on Etsy. And the funny thing was, the guy wasn't actually selling them in this scale. I had some email conversations with him about what the actual dimensions were. He did go back. I had a discussion with him and looking at the sculpt, the 3D sculpt on Etsy, about whether or not the hat had the drop top or the crease. And he actually went back and redesigned the top of the hat based on our discussion, which was really cool of him. I don't know that he actually prints these out in this scale anymore. But again, this one, I got the 3D print, and then I recast it colored plastic to reduce the amount that I was having to paint. But this is probably my favorite 3 3/4/4 inch version in my collection. I really, really love the way that turned out. That's a good head sculpt. They did very well. Now, the surprise at the end is I went even smaller, and I was looking for a decent representation of Indy in 30 millimeter gaming miniature. So this is actually a cobblestone miniature. There are a few out there. There are some official ones, but they're not current, which means you have to find them on the secondary market. And being who they are and what they are, and because they're rare now, they have a tendency to be kind of expensive. But I thought this cobblestone one was nice. This is how it is sculpted in a suit rather than the traditional leather jacket. For probably IP reasons, a lot of these are proxies and not, labeled as actual Indiana Jones figures. I was going to get a second one of these, since I painted this one to look like his gray suit, which I actually found out is blue on a rewatch of Raiders that he goes to Nepal in. But I decided to paint it up like that. I was going to get a second one and convert it. And in the end, I decided not to do that. I decided to sculpt my own, as we try and get here. This is actually the second version of his arms and whip. Unfortunately, I made a mold from this, and it failed. I ended up having to cut him out of a block of solid silicone, which the original whip that I had sculpted was brittle because I use a mix of Procreate putty and epoxy sculpt, which gives it some nice sticky and some nice smoothing qualities, but also makes it makes it stiffer and easier to sand and carve once it cures. And unfortunately, cutting it out of the mold, the whip just shattered. It was too brittle. But I did get some decent castings out of that mold, despite its failure. Painted one of those up. There you can see the original whip. I like that one a little better, but it's probably, what the hell is even on that now? The handle hanging down. It's a little bit. The arms on the original sculpt were a little bit long, which is why I redid them after I got it out of the mold. I think it looks better now, arms-wise. But yeah, I decided to sculpt my own, and that would tick all the boxes that weren't being ticked by all of the Indiana Jones proxies out there, the Nevada Smiths and the Habeas Corpus and whatever the hell else was out there. But there you have it. That's my Indiana Jones collection. I hope you enjoyed going through it with me. I hope you enjoyed seeing the sculpt. Anybody interested should probably, ping me. I can probably get another few casts out of that mold if I need to. Not that anyone wants them, but if they do. So I think that's where we'll leave it for today. Thanks for coming along. Again, feel free to like and comment. I would love the interaction. And we will see you next time.